I've created a sample web application of a voting system in Flask Python framework. First, I'm going to show you how the project looks like. It's a very simple one. So it says, who is your favorite superhero? And it has all of these options. If I select one and click on vote, I get a different screen saying their name. In the source code, we have 3 files, main.py, and inside the templates folder, we have 2 HTML files. The important thing is the main.py file, which is the Python script that starts up the application server and handles the request coming from the browser. We can see an import statement for importing the Flask packages. You'll need to install the Flask package for this. You can do this with the following command. Then we create the app server object in line number 3 like this. At the very bottom, we can see the entry point of main.py. If name equal main, and inside it we call app.run, which is how the application server starts up. Then we can see 2 different functions, page load and result load. First, let's look at page load. This function gets invoked when we hit the root of the application server, that is http 127.0.0.1:5000 in this case. Python understands this because of this annotation on top with the URL path as /, which means just the root URL path. Inside this function, we have created a list object called candidates and set some values to it. Next, we are calling the method renderTemplate, which is a method from the Flask packages. First parameter is an HTML file. In this case, Flask expects this HTML file to be inside the templates folder as we have kept here. Second parameter could be any details or object that we want to pass to the template HTML file, which is home.html in this case. Inside home.html, we can see the HTML code that will be rendered when the root URL path is invoked. The best part about rendering HTML template through Python's Flask is that we can actually run Python code inside HTML. Right here, we can see a for loop that runs over the candidates Python list. Remember, we had set the candidates object as second parameter to the renderTemplate function. Inside the for loop, we can see an input radio button. So a number of radio buttons are created based on the number of candidates we set in the candidates list in main.py. If we run the server, we can see the home.html page is rendered with all the radio buttons and a vote button at the end. Let's go back to the main.py file. We have another function called result load. This one is annotated with app.root/result, and it also has a methods list with a single value, post. This means that this function will be invoked when a post HTTP request comes to 127.0.0.1:5000, which is the local server /result. From the home.html file, we can see that the input radio buttons are all inside of a form. This form's action is to go to the /result, and its method of HTTP request is post. So once the submit button inside this form is clicked, which is the vote button, information from this post will be sent to 127.0.0.1:5000 /result, thus invoking the result load method. Inside this method, we are getting the whole request form details. Then we are getting the voted candidate, which will be the value of the selected radio button from the request form data. This is put through the renderTemplate function again, this time to a HTML template file result.html, and we're also giving the voted candidate information as well. Inside result.html, we're simply using the value of voted candidate, which will be dynamically set by Python based on the selected radio button from the previous page. Code for this project has been put up on GitHub. Link is in the description. Now, I know this is just a very basic idea of a web application, but understanding this will be very useful for you to get started as a web application developer.